Well, to those of you that are just coming in here and heard just the tail end of that conversation, this is the Traderverse Thoughtful Thursday Hour. We show up here every day at this time, and we talk about just the latest topics that are going on in the crypto world. We may also move over to Discord at some time and do a really fire AMA over there. But what I might ask for you if you're listening in is to hit that button at the bottom right of your screen and tweet out this room. Let's get as many people in here as we possibly can, because whenever we do that, we'll have a lot of good engagement. And I think we've got a good topic for engagement today. I really do. We want to talk about just some crypto quotes that I think will just make you think. They just make you think like, huh, is that right? Is that wrong? And not all of the quotes that we talk about they may not be pro Bitcoin or pro crypto. They may be against it, and maybe the story will say that it rallied our community to be able to say, no, that's not true. And it kind of became a rallying point. So, yeah, I would love to hear as we talk about the different quotes, because Rick and I each have a few that we've kind of thought that would be really neat to discuss. I want to hear your thoughts on them. And so raise your hand, come on up here in the stage. And as we say the different quotes, I want to give what your thoughts on them, because each of them have probably a whole episode, a whole podcast we could talk about in just a few lines of quotes. So one of the first ones I want to say, and by the way, Rick, did you pick out a few? Did you look for a few that really spoke to you?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a couple. So I'll let you start, and we'll see where the conversation goes, and I'll add mine as we go.
Perfect, perfect. Well, the first one I just want to go straight out for the that I think's you've read this one before, you've heard it before, but it's straight up from Satoshi himself. I love that we have a figure that like no one really knows who it is. I've heard Rick give me his thoughts on who he thinks it is, and a pretty convincing argument actually. But the quote was, "If you don't believe it or don't get it, I don't have the time to try to convince you. Sorry." So that was one of the earliest Bitcoin quotes in existence. Satoshi puts out the white paper. He says, this is the way it works. But he kind of, if you'll go to Bitcoin Talk, which you can still see all of his original quotes on there, original messages on there, you can see that he had a bit of I don't want to say a personality or an attitude or something like that. But he basically said, if you don't believe this or you don't get it, I don't have the time to try to convince you. It's right there. It's mathematics. You're going to have to try to be able to figure that out. But he saw what we all see before anyone else ever saw it. So I guess that's a question that I have is it good to have an attitude kind of as if you don't believe it, if you don't know, you know. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, you don't know. Is it good to be able to have that sort of an attitude when we're trying to convince people about this technology?
I mean, I get what he's saying though. Like it is very complicated, and it took me hearing other people speak. So to back it up, I was in a clubhouse room about a year and a half ago, and it was a room full of people talking about Bitcoin, and the consensus in the room, was like, what is Bitcoin? Why is it important? And they had some really nice mods, really good thought leaders. There's big bankers in there, like a lot of like wealthy people in there, and there's the people who really struck me was the guys from Nigeria who, and I've told the story before, is they said that buying Bitcoin because of their currency being so unstable has helped them in international business and brought like tranquility to their community where they can provide more. And like I never really thought about that. And I was like, I never thought about that application of Bitcoin. It just kind of like made me have that and the I think that's a great place to start for a thoughtful, and you're seeing that for more cryptocurrencies, utility tokens, and all the many different uses for it. And we're seeing more and more and more with specific niche utilities where it's become a different solution. And so I use this as my example of why Bitcoin is where it is today. And I think it's definitely morphed, and it definitely morphed from what Satoshi's original use of it as a transactional peer-to-peer currency. And now it's like more of that store of wealth. My thought is it's the theory of DeFi. and not the voice of DeFi, but the theory of DeFi,
Here.
people believing in it. And they're like, I'm going to put my fiat assets into this because I believe in the bankless. I believe in all of the reasons why decentralized currencies and tokens exist, for the most part, or why they started. And I just see that as being like the social cause of why Bitcoin was, and is becoming adopted, now even at an institutional level. So that's my long answer to that, I guess.
No, but one thing you said right off the beginning is, I don't think that Satoshi was an educator, right? I don't think that's where his skill set was. And you said you had a Nigeria, experience where somebody said that really helps out our country because it's borderless and easy to send payments. And that kind of was a light bulb moment for you. Where there is opportunity and where this makes me for Thoughtful Thursday, where I start thinking about this is education is so needed in this space because you need to be able to say things in a certain way to get people to understand. And different people need to, some people need to see videos and see, pretty pictures for understanding, what a, SHA-256 algorithm is, or something that's a very complex concept. And then, so education is needed. So his original quote, if you don't believe it or get it, I don't have the time to try to convince you. Yeah, that's fine. But luckily, other people do. Other people do have that skill set to be able to say, this is what's so great about this. This is why this is good for other countries because they can, easily send money across borders without any issues, without a centralized bank, without anything like that. So there's a space for education, and really, if you're on Twitter or you've got your own social media, there's a space for content creation because there's always room to be able to kind of grow something. By the way, Rick, you and I had discussed this earlier. Charlie Shrim liked my tweet.
Oh, he did.
He did. So
You should at him again and be like, get in this room.
come on in. I'll do that in just a second. See if I can get him in. But yeah, I've
Yeah, no, that's no, it's exactly right. And like education and like why everyone probably, I know of a lot of people probably just listening in at work or want to learn more about crypto, or just, people in this room. I don't know why people have come in, but I feel like these kind of spaces, Twitter Spaces, are so great for people to start to learn this knowledge, hear other people's stories, where it's not reading a white paper. Yeah, you should do your own research and go try to read and comprehend, but then where you have questions, you ask questions. And that's what like a room like this is for. Like, oh, I read here and you sound like an expert. What do you think of this? Or DM somebody, and that can start along in your educational process, because there are, places like the YouTubes of the world and Twitters of the world where people put out stuff, but it's the interaction and the niche questions that you have to totally understand you know, a complex thing like, Bitcoin and how all of that works, and distributed ledgers. And that is, that's what social media is for, well, for me at least, it's kind of been like that, and to connect with community with other people. And but that's the cool thing about that clubhouse room. It turned that light bulb on for me, and I actually got to speak and ask questions, and it helped me understand why there is such an importance to it.
Be sure to listen in to all of our weekly shows and follow us on Twitter for updates.